Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Beyond This by Zaheerah Bham Ismail. Today on Turning the Page, we have got our favorite book reader, Nabila Mayat, in the room with us. And today we're going to be discussing The Good Part by Sophie Cousens. So The Good Part started off with a 26-year-old who's stuck in this rut, unable to enjoy things because there just isn't enough funds, in a dead-end job, struggling to just make ends meet, and then wishing she could just skip to the good part.
Yeah, and the anxiety that goes, I think, with your 20s, where you think, if I just know where I'm going to end up, then I can enjoy this.
Yeah.
You know, it's that anxiety of what's to come. And I think for me, the big theme that came out of this is deferred happiness syndrome, which is that I'll only be happy when, when I get the job, when I meet the person, whatever it is.
But we often talk about that, and I often say, I call it expiration of blessings. And I say that, we often so stuck in that when this happens, I'll be fine. When my kids grow up, I'll be fine. When I get the job, I'll be fine. When any milestone happens, then I'll be able to do this. Then I'll be able to breathe easy. But we don't realize that along that journey, like our lives have an expiration date, so do every one of our blessings. So if we're not enjoying this part right now, we get to a point where when we have that moment, other blessings may have expired already, and you don't get to enjoy it. The friends may not be there. The memories may not be there. The freedom may not be there.
Yes.
So I think that comes up very strongly and also mimics how we are generally in our life, that we waiting to skip to the good part without realizing that this moment right now, this is the good part.
Yes, and it is the good part. That is a big thing that came through. And I think reading this book, I was in sort of a state of anxiety for her, because in the beginning I could sense her frustration, and I got exactly what that was like, because it's how we feel in our 20s. It's how I felt in my 20s. Like, if I just knew, like, I just want it's those boxes that we have to tick. The degree, the partner, the job, the whatever. And then when she skips to the good part, she realizes it's not as great as she thought it would be, because you can't just skip. You have to go through the milestones, and you have to go through the learning, and you have to, in order to get there, you have to have gone through a lot of things before that.
But I think, Nams, that also ties in so strongly with who we are generally in our lives. Like, we don't realize that whatever we're going through at the moment, and I know sometimes it's difficult, and I know there are times that are tough. And so many times people feel so despondent, thinking, but I keep praying and I'm just not getting out of this, and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But we don't realize that those very moments are what's teaching us that resilience, that strength, that empathy that we're going to need somewhere along our journey, and we're going to need to be able to live certain parts of our journey, and we have to do that to be able to develop our sense of self.
Exactly. And the other thing is, I think sometimes we focus so much on what's not there that we forget the things that are there. And I often think of that saying that says, I'm living the du'as, the prayers that I once made. And I think that's so true, but we forget that, because once you've made the du'a, you get the whatever it is that you want, and then you move on to the next thing. But you're not sitting and consciously being grateful for that du'a that was answered.
But it ties in with who we are as human beings, that, we've got this, now we want something, the next thing, we want the next thing. And that ties in for me very strongly to just having a sense of contentment with what you have, with who you are, for where you've come from, but understanding that everything's already written. And whatever it is, this moment right now, this is all you have. You've got to make the most of it. You've got to enjoy it all. And you have to be content. You have to have that alhamdulillah mindset.
Yes, that's it.
But how we've been conditioned, and exactly with this is, I love how you said it. We don't realize we're living the du'as that we've made. But then we go, okay, but now this is not enough. I need this.
I need this.
Now I need this. I need that. And then
the capitalist mindset, right?
It's exactly that. And I think we spoke about this before, because then contentment evades you, because then you always just filling.
Yes, and there's always something more and something better. There will always be that, especially with social media. Somebody will have something better. It will seem better because your thing is now in your head. It's sort of old. So I think it's that deferring, but we always do it, because when I get the car, I'll be happy. And then when you get the car, maybe for a week, you're happy, and then you're on to the next thing. But you're not realizing that last week or a month ago, it was the car, or it was the job, or it was whatever it is. So it's so important, because in my 20s, I used to refer to it a lot as the postponement of happiness syndrome.
Oh, I love
where a lot of us in our 20s were sort of like, I just need to get through this. I just need to do this. I just need to, and at that time also, even though I was in that rat race, in that that circle of this is what I need to achieve. It was sort of like, when will I just breathe? Just breathe and say, Alhamdulillah, I'm happy in this moment, whatever it is. And the other thing is, in good times and bad times, this too shall pass. So with the bad times, you have to have the patience.
Nice.
And in the good times, you have to enjoy it, because the good times also will pass.
So expiration of blessings.
Yes.
So for me also, it ties into when you say this too shall pass. In good times, it'll keep you humble. In bad times, it gives you hope that there's better coming along the way as
that's
well. But this postponement of happiness, I think we do it often, whether it's in our 20s, our 30s, our 40s. There's so many people I speak to say to me sometimes, and especially at this time of the year, it feels like I have a noose around my neck. I can't even breathe
exactly how it
easily.
feels.
It's so hectic. There's so much happening around me, so much going on. And I know it's there for men and women, but women seem to carry it a lot more. There's a lot more that we carry just of everyone around us, our children, our communities, our families, ourselves. There's barely time for ourselves in all of that.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need to just pause and stop, because this is all we have. Like in the book, the one thing for me is that in the 20s, there's always a thing about I don't have enough money to be able to do, and I need to build up to be able to do what I want. And in the 40s, and where we are in our stages of our lives, it becomes about time and the value of the time we have left in our lives, and being able to make the most of that as well.
Absolutely. And I think in time, money, all of those things are blessings, and they sort of commodities that we have. So when you have in your 20s, when you've got the time, I think it's almost about appreciating that. Yes, you may not have the funds, but you've got the time.
Yeah.
You've got the time to sleep in, which if you're a mom, that does, sleep is a word that no longer belongs in our dictionaries. But if you've got the time to do things that you love, to sit outside in the grass, to go to a park, do those things. Because later on, the money will come, the barakah will come, and then there'll be other things you can appreciate then. But I'm saying this, and I'm the biggest, in my 20s, I was also, like I said, in that rat race of this is what I need, this is what I need. But looking back, I think, for what? In the end, yes, you tie your camel, but Allah knows, and it's all written under His divine plan.
Yeah.
So why do we sit, and maybe a big part of it is that tawakkul, having that faith that Allah Allah will do what's best for you in the time that is right for you. So it's a timing thing also, because in your 20s, you can't have it all. You know what I mean? It's not going to make sense.
But for every phase in our lives, there's something different. There's different challenges. There's what's coming ahead. There's what's past. And I think what we have to grasp very strongly is we only have this moment. This is all you have. There's nothing more that's been promised. And we've said this on the show time and time again. But the problem is we kind of hope, if we could have gone back, we'll do something differently. This is not a rehearsal.
You can't, but would you? You don't know, right?
But also the thing is, as much as we think, we'll make a better decision, we're here because of the decisions we made. We're here because of the lessons we've learned. We're here because of the resilience that's come along with it, the lessons and the values that we've learned to make us who we are. So right now is the good part. And you just have to make the most of it, because you don't know what's written.
Yes, and what's coming. And you made it to here. I think that in itself is
for sure.
is a celebration. It's something we should be grateful for. Zaheerah, the other thing that really, and I know we talked a little bit about it before, is I love this idea of how female writers write men, because I think we write male characters the way maybe we want men to be. And like we said, this male character didn't have he was kind of two-dimensional. He didn't have a lot of depth. But again, it's that thing of ticking the box. Do you want a partner to be a partner, or do you want someone to just be there so you can say you've done it, you've achieved that milestone? But in a lot of books I read recently, I love it when women write men. Because I think we write them so idealistically, so passive. So, you take your time, do it in your time, I'll be here for you no matter what. And I think in a way that's a kind of reading these books, it's just sort of, it's fiction. And it's also just sitting there and allowing you to go into the writer's world and how she makes sense of things. And I just, that was just an interesting point.
Very much so. But I think not realistic. For me, I craved a little bit more to see the depth, to see the reality of that relationship. Because life seldom mimics that, and you're right. It's probably just an ideal way of thinking that it's as smooth and as simple as it is and nothing more than that.
That's it.
And then we miss out on the realness of
depth.
that part
Exactly.
of the relationship, which is actually a huge part of who we are. And I think it is coming up in one of our podcasts as well, on that and the relationships we have. I have to tell you, though, our book discussions veer very much from the book and more about life itself.
That's it. Yeah.
But for me also with this here, just in terms of navigating loss, and we never talk about how that actually impacts an individual, how it impacts relationships. We see people losing children, we see them losing parents, family members around them, and we just expect people to carry on with life, to be the same person, to continue with it. But the truth of it is, when you have loss in your life, intrinsically something changes. You just can't be the same person you were from before you heard the news. So it's inevitable that relationships around you will change, life around you will change, the way you see things around you will change.
Grief is messy, and I think sometimes people can't take that mess. They can't take that the messy part where you're grieving, you're going through, you're changing, and I think that's, like you said, it's part of the journey with grief, with even disagreements. Like you said, with the husband, you wanted a bit more depth. I think a real relationship is arguments. It is again messy. It is making up. There's lots of good, but there's also lots of difficult parts.
Absolutely.
Which maybe that wasn't shown so well. But I think that's the thing. That's the thing about it, is you have to live every moment to get to where you want to be. You can't just skip to the good part. So I think this is for all the younger listeners out there, to say that enjoy the moment that you're in, because you're never going to get that back. You're never going to get that time when you're carefree, where, I spoke to someone a while ago and she said, I think of the time when I used to come home and my laundry was done and there was food on the table and all I had to do was just like wake up, get ready. I just had to worry about myself. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of being in your teen years and your 20s, and is that you just get to be that. You get to just have the time, the freedom, the pampering, which maybe you don't get as much of when or you get it in a different way when you're older.
But having said that, also the messiness, the chaos, the things lying around the house, someone always screaming for something, enjoy that as well, because there'll come a time where that becomes quiet and all of the mess is gone and everyone is left home and everyone's continued with their lives, and then that quietness arrives again. So for me, it's just about what stood so strongly for me is just the good part is now. The good part is in everything we're making now, the memories we make now, the lessons that we learn now. And I don't think any phase, because even when she skips to the good part,
it's still messy.
It's still messy.
That's it,
and there's still challenges.
Yes.
I don't think we're ever going to find a time in our life where every single thing is 100% perfect. It's the way you see it,
It's the way you see it, exactly. That's what it is. And my question for you, though, is, in the end, when she has to make that decision of just staying where she is and skipping all of the mess and all of the grief and the messy parts, or to go back, which one were you hoping would happen?
So I must be honest, for me, I don't know if we should be giving away everything.
Okay,
I'll
spoiler alert.
I'll just give my personal perspective on it. But for me, I did want her to go back, because I just felt that I'd rather hold on to the memories and remember moments and remember what I felt like, what I went through, because even the pain that you experience, feeling that makes you human. And I think holding on to memories that I've built and lessons I've learned, and like we said earlier, everything shapes who you are. Now imagine skipping all of that and you somebody that you don't have any memory of all of those things. And there are good parts even in those challenges that build you to where you are. How are you able to appreciate where you are if you can't even remember where you came from?
Yeah, I get that. Now that you're saying it, it's a different perspective for me. Like I said, I read it with a lot of anxiety. And I thought, oh my gosh, are you going to go back and like live? You know what you're going to be living through. And that just sort of gave me, but at the end, I mean, I did when I put it down, I processed. But I think that's your protective mechanism also, right? You want to protect from pain. You want to protect from all of that. Just take away all of that. Take away all of it. Go. Yes, maybe that could be it. But it's just, when I put it down, I knew the ending was correct. I knew she had to go back and she had to live it herself. But it was, like I said, it's that 20s anxiety when you're in your 20s that sort of comes back. And that's why I can totally relate and sympathize with what she was feeling, is that in your 20s, you just feel like, when will things make sense? When will I feel like I've arrived? Like I'm not, like with her, she lives in that apartment and it's horrible and she's flat sharing with so many people. But there's also some sort of beauty in that. That's it. There's some beauty in that, right? Because nobody's expecting anything of you. It's just you. You just have to worry about yourself. And maybe there's a little bit of, I don't know.
So I want to come back to that in a South African context, but just coming to where you were saying, I love that we've also got different views on it, that you would have chosen this for her, just be here, enjoy the moment, make it work from now, and just continue on your way. Because that also has its blessings in it as well, because it also, for me, that perspective reminds us not to hang on too much onto the past.
Onto the past, yeah. I didn't. That's actually a good point. I think for me it was just, like I said, anxiety ridden. Like, now you know that you're here. Now just enjoy the path, and the memories will come back. I don't know. Maybe it was idealistic thinking.
We always want better when we do escapism, whether in the form of watching something or reading something. But when we're talking about how you live in your 20s, and that, I think in a South African context, it's very different, and especially in our community, because kids in their 20s do have a lot of stress on them. There's a lot of anxiety to tick the boxes, to get done with your studies, to make sure you find a partner. And I do worry that as much as we feel we've changed, we also still hold all our children into these boxes of what they have to do by these ages. And I also wonder that if we did allow that space for them to just be who they were, for them to walk their journey, for them to find themselves, to be able to make sure that when they're ready, they find the right partner, rather than just settling for a tick the box. Yes. I'm now done with that, Yeah. So I do feel that is very different from where we live, and how the difficulties or the challenges that we put onto children within our own community.
Absolutely. And like you said, it hasn't changed much because we're ingrained, right? We've got, it's something we were brought up with, that you have to have the degree, then the marriage, then the kids, and it doesn't always work like that for everybody. Everyone has their own struggles and everyone has their own timelines. And I think that's the important thing. I often think that, in order for, like, I think of women who have infertility, and I know it's a very sensitive subject, and I'm in no way saying that it's as simplistic as what I'm saying, is that a baby who's going to be born, that's their takdir. So the day they are meant to be born is the day that they'll be born. And so you just almost have to also wait for that timeline. So it may not happen as quickly as you want it to be, because it's not about you. It's also about that baby and his or her takdir and his or her timeline. The same with with getting married. The person you're supposed to get married to and yourself, you have to achieve certain things that are written for you before you can get to that point.
And that ties in with the trust. The trust of actually understanding that there's something bigger and better written, but you have to trust. You have to trust that it's there and it'll come at its own time, and it's not something you want to force as well.
That's it. And it's not easy, and Allah is merciful. And even if you're feeling like, why is it not happening? I'm making the dua, then sit on the musalla and talk to Allah. There's no right or wrong way to say, to talk to Him and to say, Ya Allah, I'm sitting in this moment and I'm waiting, but you guide me. You give me that patience.
Absolutely.
You give me that, let me see, or let me also be grateful for the lessons that you want me to learn through this. And that's what I love about, this book segment that you have, is that we can take a book and everything you can just sort of relate it to your own life. And there's Islamic lessons in everything that we do. Because
Absolutely.
Even though it's not an Islamic book, we can relate it to our own lives and say, for us, it's about tawakkul. It's about gratitude.
But that, for me, is, I think, one of the biggest lessons we have to learn in our lives, that no matter what we do, no matter how we impact the world, or no matter what comes our way, if we have our anchor, and for me, I keep repeating this, for me, my anchor is my faith. Everyone's got an anchor that they hold on to, but if you hold on to that, then everything you see and everything you experience is in relation to that. And for me, it's comfort. It gives a sense of understanding, a sense of acceptance, a sense of trust that all is okay. It will work out. So you are living the good part right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, what are we rating the book?
So I actually wrote it when I was done, and I give it a full 10 stars
Wow.
because I said it induced so much of that anxiety, that excitement. There was I resonated a lot. There was also those parts where, I mean, the funny part about you're 25 and then you wake up in your 40s is what you look like.
Oh, we didn't even touch
so I
on
read
that. I wanted
somewhere
to
about the
discuss that.
ageism, and I
Yeah.
thought it's not actually ageism, because imagine you're 25 and then you wake up one day and your body looks totally different because you've had kids and your hair starts to gray, and can you imagine that kind of things? Like, what happened to me? And I don't think it's a superficial thing in the sense that you're literally seeing it. I used to look like this yesterday, and today I look like
So
this.
I don't see it as superficial at all. If anything, I think it's real. As
real.
women, we do struggle, and it's not a vanity thing. As women, it's only human, and it's completely normal that we do struggle with how much we've changed, what we look
Body
like,
image
the struggle with just accepting how our bodies now have evolved.
And what we could do before versus what you
Absolutely.
can now. So I think it has merit in your thoughts of her going back, because then she can grow with her
Embrace
body
it.
as well, not just
Yeah.
her mind and her memories, but with her body as well. I mean, when you have
Good
a baby, that's why your body has changed, because you've had this amazing miracle, and blessing inside of you. So you understand it. Whereas if you just had to wake up one day and be like, where did all of this come from?
And how we still chase that, right?
Oh,
If you think
yes.
about it, as much as we're not appreciating that this is a good part. So I often say, if you look at pictures, we, especially women in my generation, we had a lot of issues with the way the size of our body and what we needed to look like. And we always thought we needed to lose weight. We needed to be thinner. And when you look back at those photos from 10 years ago, you'll think, oh my goodness, what was I complaining
that's
about?
it.
I
This is
looked
the best you'll
amazing.
ever look, right?
And then we come
Yes,
here and we're
yeah.
still doing the same thing. And 10 years from now, we'll look back and we'll be
Yeah.
saying, what was I complaining about? I look perfectly fine. And I think for me, it's also just appreciating more than ever just the moments we have,
And
the power of now.
yes, and your
your health.
And thin doesn't mean healthy.
Yeah.
And just, I also, somebody said, when you make dua for being thin, you should make dua that it comes with afia, it comes with,
Yes.
in a good way. You could get sick and you get thin
Yeah.
because of an illness. So really, we should also be very careful about the thoughts that we put out there and the things that we think, because right now, alhamdulillah, is the best will ever be, and we should appreciate that for what it is. Like you said, when you look back and you're like, oh, what was I complaining about then? Because I looked so much better then compared to now, or whatever the case is. So it's again about that, and just thin is not, or it's looking a certain way to fit that mold doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy.
Yeah, we
or
all
you're
need
happy.
therapy, I'm
Yes.
just saying. But
And these end up being therapy sessions as well. So, books are
Absolutely.
therapy.
Books always choose you.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I must say, and I know we are running short on time, and we could sit here because with Nabila, we discuss everything. Sometimes everything but the book.
But the book.
Today we went back into it. I do love the way she writes. I find it an easy read. You're quickly into the story. With many books recently, we've been struggling to get past certain parts.
Yes,
and Nabila
yeah.
will say to me, just push through, just read past that and you'll be fine into the book. But this is a book that's easy to read. You get into it quite quickly. You're part of the story very quickly. I found the second part moved a little bit too fast, but it was fine. For a
yes.
book, it
Yeah.
worked. It got me reading into it. So I loved it. I think the lessons learned are amazing. And let's enjoy the good
There
part.
was a little bit of suspense also, which was nice. I think it had a lot of the elements of what you want in a book to just let you escape.
Yeah.
So that's why I said the writing was good. It's relatable. I'd give it as many stars as I have.
And that's a big thing coming from Nabila. So a book 10 out of 10. We hope you've also joined us on the reading session and we look forward to hearing your feedback. You're allowed to agree, disagree. You can see we both have very different opinions on the ending, but we'd love to hear what you think as well. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond This, because what comes next starts right here.